Hi, in this video, I am going to explain about prompt engineering. First of all, what is prompt engineering? Why we need to learn about prompt engineering? We can say that prompt engineering is the way of effectively framing the prompts, that is inputs to the LLMs, large language models like ChatGPT and Gemini, so that we can get the desired output, record output. In other words, we can say it is the ability to use the LLMs effectively. We can consider prompt engineering as both arts and science because we have to follow certain strategies and tactics and tips to use it effectively, and at the same time we need to get a lot of experience. We have to gain a lot of experience by exploring various prompts to improve our prompting skills. These days the need for having good prompting skills is becoming important. There are two reasons. One is ChatGPT and Gemini. They are playing key role in our life. Everyone is daily using it for creating articles, creating images, and even for writing code. So it is important to be familiar with prompt engineering. Another reason is for the AI developer, for developing AI tools, they need to be familiar with prompt engineering so that they can effectively use the LLMs by preparing the prompts based on their application needs, because the LLMs are more powerful compared to our individual models. They are trained with a lot of data and they are powered by a huge computing power. So it is better to access them through API for creating our own AI applications. In that case, mostly we have to deal with a lot of prompts. Okay, if you are still not clear about what is prompt, better I will explain that in simple way. Okay, this is ChatGPT. This AI tool is internally using the LLM GPT-4. Okay, so whenever we ask questions here if we type something, it will be passed to the LLM GPT-4 for getting the response. So basically this one is considered as prompt, right? What is 1 plus 2? This what is 1 plus 2 is called as prompt. We can ask the same question in other way also, right? Add 1 and 2, right? Or you can just say 1 plus 2. In all the three cases, we got the same result, but the prompt is different, right? Here the prompt is what is 1 plus 2. Here the prompt is add 1 and 2. Here the prompt is 1 plus 2, right? Framing this kind of prompts is considered as prompt engineering. Say for example, I'm just saying as a simple example, it's instead of spending time for writing like this, if you are able to write like this, it will save a lot of time. Okay, so now it's clear, right? It is prompt. What is 1 plus 2? Add 1 and 2. 1 plus 2 are prompts. The way of preparing this skill or knowledge, the ability of creating like this is known as prompt engineering. So basically the prompt engineering is useful in enhancing quality, relevance, and accuracy. It is useful in chatbots, content generation, coding assistance. So as I explained, it controls AI behavior and output quality. So for getting quality output, we have to improve our skill in prompting. It reduces ambiguity and enhances clarity. So if our prompts are clear, then outputs will also be clear. It helps fine-tune AI for specific use cases, okay, essential for automation and efficiency. Let me explain them with the examples later. Okay, so components of a good prompt. Okay, so now it's clear, right? Prompts means that input text we send to the LLMs. It can be from user perspective. It can be a simple question typed on ChatGPT, or from AI application developer perspective, it is the prompt we prepare for sending to the LLMs through API in our coding. So first one is clarity. Clarity, it is a very obvious thing. So whenever we ask any question, it should be very specific and concise. Both things we need to follow. It should be very specific. It shouldn't be any random thing like it should be very generalized thing. Okay, we need to ask specific questions. Okay, let me show a lot of examples. Even in that OpenAI, they provide a lot of examples, but it is very obvious one, right? It should be very specific. Instead of asking like write a poem, you can ask like write a poem about moon, right? Or you can ask a poem, write a poem highlighting happiness, like that. And context, and you have to provide the background information also. So in the same thing, write a poem on moon, you can give the reason for coming up with this poem. I am planning to use this poem in my blog post or something, for whatever thing. So if you give some context, based on that context, it can fine tune the output, okay? Or you can say that it is for competition, like that, okay? And the third one is constraints. We have to define the limits. In the prompts, we have to define the limits, like a number of word count and tone, format. For example, in case of article writing, you can say that write article about universal basic income in 20 lines or in 200 words, like that. And in case of tone, you can say that write it in a formal tone or professional way or in a funny way, like that, right? And the format, whether you want it in an Excel format or CSV format or arranged in a table kind of stuff, okay? For example, if you are asking differentiate, give the difference between machine learning and deep learning, you can specify whether you need the output in a comparison table, like that, okay? And examples, it is very key thing, okay? We have to provide sample outputs for guidance, then only it will be effective. It is called as one-shot learning and few-shot learning, so like that, okay? Maybe I can explain it later in detail. And role assignment, we can ask the LLM to act as a particular role. Say for example, if you want to get poems, first you can say that act as a great poet. Maybe you can refer some people, like that. You can ask the ChatGPT or any kind of LLM to act as a particular person, particular role, okay? If you can say that act as a teacher and prepare this guidance for students, like that, okay? Types of prompts: open-ended prompts, instruction-based prompts, role-based prompts, comparative prompts, step-by-step prompts. Open-ended prompts, it's like open questions. Discuss about climate change, like that. It can write anything. It can come up with any content. In case of instruction-based prompts, you can give specific details, like you have to write this article in this particular way with this word count, like that, right? So that kind of instruction-based prompts. Role-based prompts, as I explained earlier, we can ask ChatGPT or any LLM to act as a particular role, and then we can ask questions. Like similarly, step-by-step prompts, like it is called as chain of thoughts also. It's a very important thing. We have to ask ChatGPT or any LLM to prepare the answer in a step-by-step way. It's a maybe in any kind of thing, like if you want some answer for some question, just ask the question and then add do it in a step-by-step way, like that. It is very important thing. Otherwise, that mostly the hallucination problem will occur. Even for simple questions, we may get some wrong answers. But if we ask specifically to do the processing step by step, we can get some solid correct output, okay? So it is very important. It is called as chain of thoughts. You might have heard of that, right? So before understanding prompts and prompt engineering, we need to understand the inherent issues with LLM. This hallucination is very, very important. So mostly for dealing with that, it will be useful step-by-step prompts, okay? So even though the LLMs are very powerful and they are able to give answers in a very effective way, that answers are not accurate. They are not reliable. They used to give some fake answers, okay? If you ask some references, it will give some random links or something, okay? So we need to be very careful in analyzing the output. At the same time, to get somewhat better results, we have to follow the strategies. One important strategy is this step-by-step chain of thought, okay? And giving examples and providing some reference things, okay? So all these things will guide the LLMs to act in a correct way. If we are not guiding, if you are just simply throwing the question and expecting answer, it won't be giving proper answer, okay? So we need to guide it properly. So example prompts. Weak prompt is write about AI. It's a very generic, right? We need to be specific. So write a 200-word article on AI in healthcare. They provided the limitations, okay, the constraint, and they provided the specificness, healthcare, okay? So here the best one is as a medical researcher, explain AI's impact on healthcare in 200 words. Here the role based, we are asking it to act as a medical researcher, right? That part is there. And we are asking specific question like impact on healthcare in 200 words. That limitation is there. So it is the best prompt. Okay. So just to learn the basic things about prompt engineering, then try to implement in your daily life prompts. Okay. So instead of write about AI, we have to write as a medical researcher, explain AI's impact on healthcare in 200 words. It's just an example. Suppose if you're planning to write a blog post from technical perspective, maybe you can say that as a good blog writer, explain AI's impact on healthcare in 200 words. Like that you can ask. So it's based on the our requirement. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. Based on our requirements, if we are able to use the LLM properly, that ability we can consider as a prompt engineering skill, prompting skill. Okay. So the ultimate aim is we have to effectively use the LLM to get desired output. So a lot of prompt engineering techniques are there. One is zero-shot prompting, few-shot prompting, chain of thought prompting, multi-turn prompts. Okay. Zero-shot means straight away asking question and getting an answer without providing any examples. Okay. Few-shot prompting is like we have to provide some examples. Okay, suppose if you are planning to format the output in specific format, you can provide the few sample output. Then it is known as few shot prompting. Okay, then chain of thought prompting. As I said, we have to ask the LLM to specifically do the calculations step by step. And multi-turn prompts. So multi-turn prompts, it's nothing but interactively engaging with the LLM. We have to continuously talk with that instead of asking one question and then getting an answer. Instead of like that, we can continuously engaging with like something charting, common challenges and solutions, ambiguous outputs. So in that case, obviously we have to refine the prompts. We have to improve the prompts for the irrelevant responses. So in that case, as I said, we have to use the few shot learning, that kind of prompting. Okay, we have to provide examples. Okay, so that it will be useful for guiding the LLMs. Hallucination issues. Okay, so in that case, we have to check the output with the other sources. Okay, so always don't trust the AI output. You have to manually verify the other sources also. So in case if it is providing lengthy or short responses, so obviously we have to provide the specific word limit. In that case, it will follow that. So a lot of applications are there for content creation, coding assistant, customer support, education. So almost for any field, that prompt engineering skill is a really important one. So we can practice that with ChatGPT, or you can use OpenAI's API for using this GPT-4 LLM. Okay, but in case of API, you will be having additional options. So normally in the ChatGPT, we are having two things, right? One is that ChatGPT that is giving answer. Another one is as a user we are asking question. There are two roles: assistant, that ChatGPT assistant, and user ourselves, user and assistant. But in case of API access, we have three options, three roles: system, user, and assistant. Okay. So in that case, we will be having more flexibility that act as a role. Other things we can specify in the system itself. Maybe I will explain the details with some sample. So obviously, Gemini. So the ultimate thing is we have to be very clear in writing the prompt. It should be specific. We have to experiment with different styles because it is dynamically changing. So whatever prompting skills you are gaining this month will not be applicable in the 2-3 minutes later that time. Okay, I'm just telling subtle things, but the core things always if you go through OpenAI's website, they listed 6 strategies. That 6 strategies, even the last year also they provided the same things. So mostly that core concepts will be remaining same, but the subtle things will be changing. So that we need to learn. That is what everyone is saying, that prompt engineering is both arts and science. Okay, we have to understand the basic rules and the strategies. Then we have to improve our ability because it's like personally changing to person. So we need to stay updated with AI advancements. Okay. Let me show some example. In case of thumbnail generation, I can ask, say for example, recently I created one AI course. Okay. For that, I created one video in YouTube. Okay. In that case, I can say that create thumbnail. Okay. For AI course. So it's not very specific, right? So it can create the image in any way, okay? But my purpose is I need to create the thumbnail for my YouTube video. Here that aspect ratio is square, right? But in case of YouTube video, the aspect ratio should be 16:9, right? So in that case, the better way is we have to specify the aspect ratio, or at least we have to provide the context for our video, YouTube video, like that. But in that, based on my personal experience, that is what I am saying, that always the rules, there are no solid rules, okay? As a best strategy, we can specify the context, but in some cases it won't take that. From my personal experience, most of the time it is not considering that. Even if I am specifically saying that it is for my YouTube video, it still used to generate the square image only. So I used to specify the aspect ratio, okay, with the aspect ratio. So now it created with the aspect ratio 16:9, so that I can use it for my YouTube video, okay. And apart from that, we can provide other details, what kind of color it should have, but it won't always follow the instructions properly. So we need to do a lot of trial and errors, okay. In case of few shot learning, maybe you can provide few sample images and then ask ChatGPT to create a similar image like that, okay. Or in case of formatting, we can ask it to format in specific thing, like write about machine learning versus deep learning. We can say that formatted table, okay. So here it's writing the differences in a table format, okay. Otherwise, if you want to get it in a blog post kind of article kind of thing, you can ask it to write as an article in like 500 words, like that, whatever. And as I said, we can provide specific samples also. Like for example, if you want to get the, suppose if you are looking for some laptop or computer for buying, you can ask it to recommend 3 laptops for my video creation, okay. And you can ask it to specify the format, like give details, like you can give some examples. So one is you can just give like a laptop name, like that. You can give the label, RAM, hard disk, display, CPU, like that you can ask, okay. It is format. In case of few shot learning, we can provide some sample. It's giving the details, right? RAM, storage, display, CPU, like that, right? Otherwise, as I said, we can give the sample order also. And you can use delimiters so that we can differentiate between the actual prompt and the sample, like that. We can use some markup or some star, like that, right? So we can specify the format, like brand name, RAM, price, okay. So it recommended this specific format, okay. But I haven't specified the display. It included display also, okay, because of my previous, that effect will be there, that I will be talking about that, okay. It's a context history, okay. It is remaining the context history. Suppose if you want to clear that context history, you have to start new chart. Suppose if your question is completely independent of your previous question, you have to start a new chart. And another thing also there, that is memory. So among all your chart history, so like say for example, 1 week before you might have asked some questions, okay, but still it will be remembering that details, okay. Even if you start the new chart, if it is stored in memory, it won't store everything. It will be storing few things, okay. But context history is different. If it is in the same chart window, it will be remembering the old questions fully. It will be remembering, okay. That is context history. But in case of that memory, that will be selectively storing key important details in memory, okay. So if you want to have that option, you can keep it here, settings, okay. So if you enable it, it will be remembering your key details, okay. You can click manage memories, and then if you don't want to selectively remove some details, you can remove, okay. That memory details will be available across various chart windows, okay. And other than that, you can customize ChatGPT, okay. I'm just talking about ChatGPT. That prompt engineering is common for any kind of LLM. Even for this ChatGPT is using GPT-4, right? So if you are using it from your application through API, that is different case. But in case of ChatGPT interface, if you are using, you can specify these custom instructions like I know Tamil and English. In that case, you can straight away ask like translate this to something. It can understand that I know Tamil and English. Suppose even if I'm not specifically saying Tamil or English, based on the context, it will be understanding that. Okay. And here you can specify that it should be professional or funny like that. So based on that, it will give answers. So if you are familiar with this kind of basic things, you can effectively use ChatGPT or any kind of LLM tools. And as a AI developer, you can effectively create your application. Okay. So in that OpenAI, they provided a lot of strategies. They provided 6 strategies for getting better results, and they provided a lot of tactics. Okay. So almost whatever we explained here, they provided in detail. So in case of first, let us go through all the 6 strategies. Okay. Write clear instructions. It is obvious thing. We already discussed. Provide reference text. Okay. And split complex task into simpler subtasks, and give the model time to think. Use external tools. Test changes systematically. Okay. So for each strategy, they provided a list of tactics. Go through that also. In case of write clear instruction, we can follow these tactics. Include details in your query to get more relevant answers. Okay. So they provided some examples. How do I add numbers in Excel? Instead of asking like this, we can ask specific things, right? How do I add up a row of dollar amounts in Excel? I want to do this automatically for a whole sheet of rows with all the totals ending up on the right in a column called total. So we have to give the specific details. Instead of just asking who is president, we can ask who was the president of Mexico in 2021. Instead of just blindly asking write code, we can ask like write a TypeScript function. So it's like giving specific details. Okay. And the next tactic is ask the model to adopt your persona, its role as, right? So as I said earlier, that the API is having this system option. Okay. So as a developer, we can use that opportunity. So this I explained delimiters, right? So we have to effectively use the delimiters to differentiate between the samples, okay, and the command. In case if you are talking about 2 things, maybe you can specify in this format. Okay, some kind of delimiter. It need not be any standard thing. You can dynamically create based on your context. Next one is specify that steps required to complete your task. You have to provide intermediate steps like a step 1, step 2. So it can be like as part of chain of tasks. So whenever we ask the LLM to follow certain path, then the output will be somewhat reliable. That is what my observation. If we straight away ask the end result, it won't be that much good. Okay. So the next tactic is provide examples. Especially the desired length of the output. So we can limit that, right? In about 50 words, 2 paragraphs, 3 bullet points. So for the next strategy, provide reference text. The tactic is instruct the model to answer using a reference text. So we have to provide some reference and then we can ask the question. Okay. So this is one key thing, context window, limited context window. Okay. We cannot hear the reference text. Suppose if it is 100 pages article, we cannot put all the 100 pages here. So almost all the LLMs are having that context window limit. Okay, if you search for context window of the LLMs, you can find some details about the limitations. Every LLM is having its own limitation. Okay, so for that purpose, that embedding concept is there. So internally we have to store the details as a embedding, and then we have to dynamically get the record part from the embeddings. Okay, embedding search vector. We have to store them in the vectors database. It is called as RAG, retrieval augmented generation, in case of generative AI. Okay. So another tactic is instruct the model to answer with citations from a reference text. Okay. Instead of straight away giving answer appropriately, we can instruct the model to give the answer with citations. Okay, from which part it is taking that answer, like this. Next strategy is split complex task into simpler subtasks. For the tactic is use intent classification to identify the most relevant instructions for your user query. If, for example, in case of customer support, okay, there may be different sections like billing, technical support, account management, general inquiry, like that, right? So each primary category will be having its own thing. Like in case of billing, unsubscribe, upgrade, add payment method, like that. Technical support means troubleshooting, device compatibility issues, like software updates. Like, so basically, even if the case of customer support, internally it's having various sections, right? So based on that section, we have to classify it to identify the most relevant sections for user query. So if the user query is related to like billing, then it can use the billing related instructions, right? Here they provided some example. In case of this example, if the user is asking, I need to get my internet working again, that case, first of all, it can do the classification. Okay, if it is troubleshooting, it can again ask provide the instruction only specific to that troubleshooting. Okay, it will be more effective, right? But in case of this approach, we won't be seeing it in ChatGPT, that kind of thing, because that it needs system rule, right? So mostly for API access, we can use it, okay, effectively. And in case of the dialog application, as I explained previously, each LLM is having its own context window, okay, and we have to pass the context history whenever we write the prompt, right? Even if we ask simple question, actually the ChatGPT will be sending all our previous questions also to the GPT-4 model, so that it can understand the context, okay. But because of the context window limit, we cannot send all the things, right? So after some time, it will be cutting the previous questions. In that case, we will be losing the context, right? To avoid that, we can summarize the previous context, okay, and then we can add it to our new prompt, okay. That way, we can handle the context window for keeping the context, okay. In case of this strategy, give models time to think. So here they provided one good example. So here just straight away asking whether the student's solution is correct or not. Okay, the user is providing the problem statement. Immediately the assistant is saying that the student's solution is correct. Okay, but the solution is not actually correct. So in that case, we can ask it to first work out your solution to the problem, then compare that solution with the student solution. Okay. So in that case, it will be saying that student solution is incorrect. As I explained, it's a very, I can summarize it as like we have to specifically guide the LLM, then only we can get the proper reply. If we straight away just to put the question and then expect the answer, it won't happen. So they provide a lot of examples. Okay, so mostly coding related. Okay, I mean API access. In this case, they provided some good prompt example also. Okay, in case of grammar correction, so for converting ungrammatical statements into standard English, the prompt will be like you will be provided with statements and your task is to convert them to standard English. Okay, so in that case, if the user says she went to the market, it is able to correct this. She did not go to the market. Okay, so the API request is like this. It's using chart completions class. Okay, they are using GPT-4o model. As I explained previously, the system role is available with the API. Okay, in case of ChatGPT, that interface, we won't be having that option. Only assistant and the user. Here we have the system role. Okay, so summarize content you are provided with for a second grade student, so that it can explain the concept in a simple way. Okay, so instead of these technical things, it converted into simple, easy to understand response. So provide a lot of examples. Maybe you can check that at OpenAI's website. Okay.